So welcome. It's March 2022. So March, what is it? March 9th, I think, right? Snowing outside and a week of gratitude. So what I thought I'd do is take an older presentation that I had done on stress, but also adding in a piece on gratitude and building a positive mindset. So that's what we'll be covering today. And just to get us started, we'll remind you about EFR and our resources through the program: work-life resources, counseling, legal financial consultation, and this Achieve Solutions website, which has a lot of great information. That's where we have a whole page of meditations. I'm sure many of you have seen that, but there's about 30 different meditations on that page now. So it's a good resource page for finding some things of all different types and lengths. We have these kits. They're free. If you call the program, that 877 number, you can get one of these kits. So they're back in stock. Those are also listed on that website. But you do have to call to get one and just do a brief consultation, and they'll send one free to your home. This is what's in them, just to give you, in a couple of them, to give you an idea. This is the stress management kit, which has a very good book on mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR every day, and then the end of stress, 4 steps to rewire your brain. And then a nature mood CD and an adult coloring book. And then there's one on caregiver support, which has also a couple of nice books and a couple of other nice little giveaways there. So feel free to call and get one of those if you'd like. Yes, that is true. You're allowed one kit per year. I know, but we only have a limited supply, unfortunately. So we've actually run out the last couple of years. So one kit per year. So pick one, pick carefully, and feel free to call. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to focus on stress. And so let's do a quick pause before we kind of get started into anything. So just sit quietly. You can close your eyes if you like, and just kind of ask yourself, how am I doing right now? What's my stress level? If you were to rate your stress level on 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest and 1 being, like no stress, where would you be? How are the last few days been? What's your stress level? Okay, and so just noticing that, just being aware of where we're at with stress and thoughts and emotions, and also what's going on in the body, just acknowledging that, bringing that into awareness, and then be aware of your breathing. Maybe taking a nice deep breath and letting it all out as you breathe out, releasing and relaxing. Establishing the breath as an anchor to the present moment, your home base. You can also use your body as that anchor or home base. So just feeling your body in the chair as well. Noticing how the body feels right now. And then bringing them together, bringing the breath and the body, feeling the breath throughout the body, the rising and falling of each breath, the expansion on the in-breath, contraction on the out-breath, just feeling it in the body. And that's it. That's a good pause. That's a great start, just as a way to kind of gather our attention and notice what's going on. So today, with thinking about stress, there's an awful lot of reasons to be stressed, right? The situation in the Ukraine is very troubling, of course, brings up a lot of strong and difficult emotions. And so we're going to actually talk a little bit about that as I get into the slides a bit. But when you did this, what was your stress level? Like, what was it like? So, we have the perceived stress scale, which I've used in the classes. And if anybody wants that, just reach out to me. I'll be happy to send that to you again, just as a way to check in. Where's your stress right now on that perceived stress scale? You can also go on our website, the EFR website, and there's a whole bunch of different assessment quizzes on everything from how are you coping with the pandemic to stress, work-life balance, resilience, change, emotions, all sorts of different little quizzes you can take if you want to. So check those out. But if you remember from the stress class that we did in the classes, it's usually right in the middle of the mindfulness classes, we can learn to get better at stress. And that's really the key, I think, to our mindful practices. Because we know that, stressors, we might think of stressors as being the events or the people or the situations in life that cause us stress. However, it's really us. We've met the enemy, and it is us. The way we relate to stress is really what mindfulness is all about. And we can learn to relate to stress in a different way. We can learn to not get as triggered or as reactive to stress. We can learn to pause and step back from stress. And so I'm going to give you a few of those suggestions. And I'll go through these pretty quick. I've got, as usual, too many slides. So these are some of the things that stress us out. Lots of pressure, always being on, tons of distractions, way too much information. And if you work with patients or if you're in a caregiving role at all, we get emotionally involved with the people that we care for. And that includes our family and our coworkers. So those are all the things that can trigger us. But the trick is that when we go through the day and we have these, various stress triggers, what do we do in response to them? Do we just let them control our day? And if we do, we'll feel pretty exhausted. You might have a number of physical or mental or emotional reactions to stress, and they build up and they kind of, there's a cumulative effect. So the idea simply is to bring on the relaxation response, which if you've been practicing, and I think most of you have, you've been practicing ways to relax and to calm the mind and the body. So every time you notice a stress trigger, do something to bring on that relaxation response. It takes the brain out of fight or flight, and it brings on the way for the nervous system to relax and be at ease. So just simply pausing, and this quote underneath the pause symbol here. Well, we do take time off from our jobs during the week, right? At the end of the workday and our days off. But the power of pausing, the value of this depends on how well we can separate ourselves from our work. So even in pausing during the workday, can you give your mind and body a rest from the workday? Can you focus on something else, or can you just focus on your breath or your body or whatever it is? But whatever it is, when you take a break, doing something to take a real break, to really get disengaged from work, to not allow the mind to keep thinking and working on overtime. So it could be a relaxation break, a social break, a movement break, a solitary break, a nature break, listening to music, checking out a YouTube topic you're interested in, reading a chapter of a book, calling a good friend. Those are all great examples. They're not necessarily mindfulness breaks, but they're great examples of disconnecting with the stress of work. So just doing that, making sure that when you take a break, whether it's at lunch or a little coffee break or something, that you do something to allow yourself to separate from work. Okay. So just some other examples: taking walks, movements, giving yourself some energy and avoiding whatever drains it. So just some other quick pauses. We've done these mostly in the classes as well, so kind of go through these quickly, but we know that deep breathing helps, brings on the relaxation response. We know that those 3 breaths for a pause and 3 breaths to remind you is breathing in, feeling the breath, focusing on the breath itself, breathing in again, feeling the body. We did that in the pause in the beginning. We feel the breath, we feel the body. You can bring them together. Then the 3rd breath of the exercise is to bring kindness to yourself, really to make yourself a priority and to take care of yourself during the day as the day goes on, so that you're not getting into a burnout situation. The key to preventing burnout is to do something before you get to that stage, right? And all these pauses can make a difference. Washing your hands are just another, we've talked about this informal practices in the classes, all sorts of daily tasks that we do on a routine basis that you can use as informal practice to pay attention to what you're doing while you're doing it, really focusing in on the sensory experience of that, not letting the mind wander off, not letting the mind work on the to-do list, even while you're doing those things, but really giving the mind a rest to reset and refocus. And then visualizing a peaceful place. That's a great way to really kind of take a little mental vacation and get away, and put yourself in that place and just let yourself rest for a couple of moments. So those are quick pauses. With stress, there are also the obvious things that are really the cornerstone of good stress management. We know exercise, good nutrition, sleeping well, limiting habits that don't help in the long run, can all, those are all part of what we should be doing to manage our stress. We don't always do it, of course, I know that. So maybe thinking of what's one little thing that you can do to improve one of those areas, like little baby steps, right? And then Living Well Cares, as a reminder, they have health coaches. So if you want to get some assistance, one-to-one coaching to work on some of your stress management or your wellness goals, feel free to talk to one of them. Now, this slide here is just a reminder, I know you've all been learning this in the classes and practicing this, and that's what it's all about. And these benefits of mindful awareness, calming ourselves, stepping out of autopilot, increasing our focus and concentration, and improving our connection and compassion with ourselves and others are all wonderful benefits of our practice. So at this point, I did want to bring up the situation in the Ukraine. And this is, of course, not at all political, but I came across these steps in a podcast. You can see on the bottom there, it's from the Being Well podcast. Dr. Rick Hanson and his son, his son is the host, Forrest Hanson. It's really a good podcast, by the way, so check it out. But they did a thing recently on, what can we do in response to what's going on? Because we feel so helpless. We're obviously very concerned about it and scared and worried, and we may even know people who are more directly affected by it in some ways. And so it brings up really strong, intense emotions, right? So I love what he presented, and I won't go through these in detail. You can listen to the podcast if you really want to get a full dose of this. But the first one, he actually uses a little different 3 breaths, but the 3 breaths that I'm suggesting here, just taking a pause when we feel triggered by the news or what's going on, when we hear, that it's continuing or whatever it is. And so just taking a pause. So the 3 breaths for here is breathing compassion in and out. So first you breathe in and you feel the breath itself. Slow down, let it calm you. Then you breathe in and you breathe in whatever you need in the moment. So on each in-breath, you might be bringing in that sense of calm or care or compassion, whatever it is you need in the moment. Breathe that in on each in-breath. Let it fill you. And then on the out-breath, breathe out that same sense of care and compassion to others, to all the people that we don't know who are being directly affected in the Ukraine, all the people that are indirectly affected, all the people that might have relatives or connections to Ukraine. But so on each out breath, then we send out this sense of care and compassion. And we might even use a loving kindness message. May you be well. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you be okay. May you be free from suffering. Whatever it is, you can send those same well wishes out on the out breath. So that's just one example of what we can do to pause. And then the others are kind of, I like how they've kind of really, feel your feelings. Number 2, just acknowledge your feelings, not wallow in them, not allow them to overtake you, but just acknowledge your feelings as they are, validate them. 3rd, educate yourself. Sometimes we hear stuff from other people, we hear things on social media, we hear things that are, maybe that are not exactly true or validated. So educate yourself. Go to some trusted resources and limit the doses with which you take that in too. Don't completely, 24/7 follow it, because you're going to definitely overload yourself. And then resource yourself. So I put in here strong back, soft front. We're going to actually do that as an exercise. But the resource yourself is, what would be helpful to you to take care of yourself, whatever it is, giving yourself the resources that you need. Come up with a plan for yourself, how you're going to deal with that for your loved ones and others, and what's one thing you can do. Come up with a plan and then put it into action. So just thought I'd give you that. It's really a good, well-presented podcast. I want to check that out. So what we'll do next is we'll do the strong back, soft front exercise. To me, it brings up a great, and I think we've done this recently, so, but still, it's, I think, a really good practice to get a sense of, with a strong back, a sense of keeping our equanimity, our calm and resolve in the face of very difficult circumstances, but keeping also a soft front, a way to stay open and compassionate, and to be aware of and accept things as they are. It is very difficult. We feel helpless. There's not a whole lot we can do. But so this practice, perhaps this will help. So let's begin, and just taking a moment to be comfortable in your sitting position, to find a position that feels right for you. Closing the eyes, being aware of the breath. Let's take a nice deep breath, noticing the inhale in And a long, slow exhale out, allowing the body to relax as you breathe out and release. And this, just allow the breath to breathe you without changing or forcing anything, just breathing and noticing the breath. And sit for a moment and let the concept of a strong back, soft front, really sink into your being. What does it mean to you to have a strong back and a soft front? Could mean different things depending on what's going on in our lives. When we think about a strong back, we may think about having a backbone and being able to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries that enable us to keep our hearts open because we're finding a balance between caring for ourselves and caring for others. So strong back. Notice how you can have a strong back, a spine that enables you to move and be flexible, and at the same time giving you a structure and support for the rest of your body. This represents our ability to have composure, especially in difficult situations, to have a calm mind and emotional stability, to be rooted and grounded with who we are. It means we're cultivating an ability to maintain a calm mind with emotional and mental stability, to be grounded, rooted, and strong while remaining flexible, adaptable, and open to change. So just resting in awareness of the strength of composure and stability of a strong back. Now let's bring awareness to a soft front. The soft front houses our heart and our lungs and our digestion, all our vital organs. Notice how our strong back enables us to maintain a soft front with an acceptance of things as they are. Our soft front enables us to be open to life as it is without resisting or closing our hearts. So many times we walk through life with a soft back, very little stability, and a closed heart. This practice helps us to cultivate compassion and equanimity and balance during difficult times, and to maintain that open, compassionate, loving heart, that soft front. So again, just notice, how is your breathing right now? Breathing in and breathing out. Your chest rises and falls over your heart area. Allow yourself to fully experience your heart and what it means to maintain a soft, open heart. And rediscover your breath as it moves in and out of the body and supports a strong back and soft front. And in the last minute of the practice, allow yourself to just fully embody this experience. Soft front and strong back. And when you're ready, you can begin to rise from the meditation. Begin to open the eyes, re-engage with the room around you, And we'll finish that to move on with a strong back and soft front. So what did you think? Any comments or reactions to any of this? Anybody have any thoughts or sharing you might like to do? You can use the chat or feel free to speak up. Kind of as a reminder, I use this all the time, but with stress, what we're kind of doing is we're noticing when we get caught up in our swirl of thoughts, like the man here. When we notice that, when we realize that we're on autopilot and we're ruminating, we're obsessing, that's the moment when we can become mindful and drop out of autopilot and be like the dog. Begin to let things settle. Begin to let all those thoughts and emotions clear and be able to bring ourselves back to the present moment. Yeah, good comment. Thank you, Andy. I'm glad to hear you're working on the concepts of grace and equanimity, and we certainly need that. Very helpful to feel our strength in our back and soft open heart and front body. Yes, feels good to embody this practice. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it myself. It's a good way to kind of face what's going on in the world in some ways. And so, as Mark Twain put it, this is what often happens with stress, and especially with the amounts of stress and the kinds of stress that we have in our world today. My life has been filled with terrible misfortunes, most of which never happened. So we have to be careful. We just have to be careful that we don't get too caught up and, begin to catastrophize and project and to get to this state of being burdened by everything. When we're in this state, we really, we can't do anything. So the mindfulness practices really help us to clear that out and to be able to think about thoughtfully, mindfully what our next steps are. That's the planning process. So real quick, I'm going to talked about this, but I'm going to go through it kind of quickly. The video, How to Make Stress Your Friend. You might want to rewatch that. She also has another one on the upside of stress. And then there's another good one that I found on channeling your stress to help you succeed. In other words, the whole idea of changing our mind or our relationship to stress, not letting those beliefs, not letting that whole thing, build up like that, right? So that's really important. But before we close, I want to get into some positive thinking and gratitude. And it might seem, I don't know, in some ways inappropriate to be thinking about this with all those who are suffering in the world, but it is the week of gratitude at YNHHS, and I think it is helpful to kind of turn our attention to building a positive mindset. And gratitude is one of the ways, it's one of the strongest ways to do this. So starting with the quote, I don't have to chase extraordinary moments to find happiness. It's right in front of me if I'm paying attention and practicing gratitude. And, we can be so focused on all the difficult things in this life and what's going on these days. It's really, really hard to, refocus onto the positive, but a gratitude practice will do that. And we know gratitude is strongly linked to all these really great outcomes, so, but you got to do it like anything. It's got to be just like our mindfulness practice. You have to do it with some regularity, frequency, and intention. So here are just some prompts for you to think about. It doesn't have to be big things. I mean, sometimes we think about, the things which we should be grateful for, just the fact that we're breathing and we're alive and that we have a roof over our heads and we have good jobs and all that. Of course, those are things, but when you bring up those things, you might even try in your gratitude practice, drilling down a little bit more. If you have good health, for example, what is it about your health that you appreciate and you're grateful for? What is it about the ability in your body? Sometimes we think of our body and we're not happy with the way our bodies are, the way they look, the amount of weight we put on or not, or the things that we're, feeling in aches and pains. So, but what are the things that we are happy about in our body? And this list here just gives you a bunch of little things that we can, have as prompts. So you might use this list as a way to kind of stir the pot a little bit and stimulate your gratitude muscle. The 3 good things practice is always a good thing to try. The research on this is very clear. When people do 3 good things, meaning they, at the end of the day, or it's a good thing to do after work, write down 3 things that went well, or share them with somebody, but really bring your conscious, mindful attention to 3 good things that day. And when people do this for at least a week, 2 weeks is better. In the studies, they found that it really significantly increases your happiness and your well-being. Again, gratitude and focusing on positive things really strongly linked to feeling better about things. And this quote here, just remembering the small, simple things like the scent of rain, the taste of our favorite food, the sound of a loved one's voice. So it's the simple, small things that and remember in the classes, we ask people to focus on both the unpleasant things, but also the pleasant things, and notice how you respond to those, and that we have some choice. But actually, the interesting thing is, I did a meditation recently on joy, the sense of cultivating joy, and the basic attitude towards doing that is accepting things as they are. The quote, "Joy is exactly what's happening in the moment, minus our opinion." And Sabine Selassie, this is from, actually, she has a really good, it's called Joy for Any Mood. It's from 10% Happier, if you have that app. Her quote is, "Our capacity to appreciate the good in any moment without pushing away or denying what might be unpleasant, rather than trying to get elsewhere in our practice, we learn to bring a sense of well-being to wherever we are. Then joy arises naturally." So she has a whole practice, a whole meditation. It's really good. You might want to try that one too. And here are just some quick gratitude pauses that you can try. Very simple things as a way to kind of, again, bring in regular, routine, frequent ways to pull our attention from the negative, which tends to dominate these days, right, over to the side of the positive. And that can make a difference. And when we do that, this quote here, it's not happiness that makes us grateful, it's gratefulness that makes us happy. So what I'd like to do before we close is do a brief gratitude practice. And this is going to be one from Tara Brach and Jack Kornfield, but Tara Brach is the one who actually leads this one. She says, she quotes Meister Eckhart, "If the only prayer you said in your whole life was thank you, it would suffice." And she goes on to say, there's an increasing body of research on the benefits of gratitude, including better health, sounder sleep, less anxiety and depression, higher long-term satisfaction with life, and kinder behavior towards others. Gratitude's a natural response to our life, like a baby's delight at seeing a loved one's face. But it's sometimes blocked by the negativity bias, and that's what I was talking about. So we really have to consciously make an intention and to do certain things to focus more on gratitude and on the positive side of things. And don't mistake me, I'm not saying, it's simply the power of positive thinking. I'm not saying any of that to gloss over some of the difficulties that are, in reality, what's going on, but simply as a practice for our own health and well-being, as a way to refocus ourselves on to building a positive mindset. We'll be in a much better place to act and to do some things in our own plan of action for what's going on in the world. All right, so let's do this meditation called Nourishing a Grateful Heart. All right, so allow yourself to arrive, relaxing wherever you notice tension in your body. And just notice your anchor. Your anchor could either be your breath or the feeling of your body in the chair, your feet on the floor. So get in touch with your anchor. Might be your breathing in and out. Might be the anchor of your body in the chair. And just establish that first as a way to get kind of centered and grounded, anchored. And now bring your attention to a person in your work life who brings up a strong sense of appreciation and care. Okay. And as you bring this person to mind, take some moments to remind yourself of what most arouses your sense of gratitude. Perhaps it's the way they've been generous with their time, or their kindness, or attentiveness with you. Let yourself feel this appreciation in a visceral way. Just notice how you experience it in your body, in your heart. And from that place of gratitude, mentally whisper their name and say thank you. And you might say it again, thank you. Imagining that person receiving your gratitude and how that deepens the sense of connection and warmth. Now open your attention to other parts of your life and ask yourself, what am I most grateful for? What do I appreciate or love in this life? And as different people and places or experiences arise, take a moment with each, opening to the felt sense of gratitude and sensing how it lives in your body and your heart. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of silence now to just do that as you reflect on different people or places or experiences, take a moment to acknowledge each, opening to the felt sense of gratitude and how it lives in your body and your heart. And now, letting go of any formal reflection, simply notice how your heart is in these moments of feeling gratitude. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes if you've had them closed and reconnect with your surroundings and finish. So thank you. Thank you for joining me in that. And just have a couple more slides to finish up with. We do have these on our Achieve Solutions site. We have those meditations, which I've mentioned before. There's some good apps, check out these apps if you're looking for a good app. And I've got all our classes, the refresher classes, the mindfulness classes, I've got them all uploaded on different playlists. And if you were on in the beginning, you might have noticed some of the nature videos. I've got a bunch of brief nature videos on there now. And so you can check those out as well. And we're also doing our regular phone meditations. And of course, we're doing them with a gratitude theme this week. So if you want more of that, tune in. What's today? Wednesday. So we've done it today. Tomorrow we do it at 2. And then also tomorrow night at 9 p.m. we're doing one. And then Friday at noon. So, and then that's our regular practice. So got some nice comments in here. Thank you. Very good. Love these. Excellent. Thank you all very much for thanking me. I do appreciate that. And I guess I really want to say thank you all for being here. It's really great to have this mindful community, this group that gets together every month. I know many of you are regular listeners, and we tune in and we help and support each other. So really, really appreciate you all being there for me as well. You keep me going, and I really do appreciate you all. And I thank you for your practice, because I know you're doing your regular practices, and that warms my heart. It makes me feel grateful. So thank you all. I'll finish with this last slide and, taking some baby steps, just doing what you can with the baby step for yourself. I will send the slides out, so you'll get these. You'll have them if you want to refer to them. I'm going to stop the recording now.